All right, so this one is a minor 2-5-1 lick to the key of C minor. So we have D minor 7 flat 5, G7, and C minor 7. And there's something particularly interesting about this lick. If you look at the very first note of the lick, he starts on an A natural, which against D minor 7 flat 5, A natural is actually the natural 5, not the flat 5. And after checking out a couple of other Sonny Stitt minor 2-5-1 licks, I discovered that he actually uses the regular 5 more often than not over minor 7 flat 5 chords. So it almost looks to me like when he's playing over a minor 2-5-1, he basically treats the first two chords as if it was a major 2-5-1, and then when it gets to, you know, the one chord, obviously he's not going to play C major, he plays C minor. So I thought that was particularly interesting, and it goes to show you that you can really get away with a lot of stuff when it comes to improvisation. To me, that natural 5 does not sound bad against the half diminished chord. If anything, I think it has a really colorful and sort of unorthodox characteristic to it. So if we look at this lick in relation to D minor 7 flat 5, we start on A, which is our regular 5. Then we do C, which is the flatted 7th, back to the 5th. Now right here he does this little slur thing where he goes. Now to me, when I see that, it looks just like something you would do out of D Dorian. So like I said, I'm pretty sure he is just thinking Dorian over the minor 7 flat 5 chord, because if you look at these notes intervallically against D, this is the 6, flat 7, 6, and then the 5th, and I'm only picking the first note, the B note. Then after that, then we do G, F sharp, and F. So you could think of that in one of two ways. You could just think that he's doing a chromatic in D, you know, to the flatted 3rd, which is F. So going chromatic from the 4 down to the flatted 3rd. Or you could think ahead to the G7 chord that's coming and just say that he's doing a chromatic to the flatted 7th of G7, because once he lands on that F note, that's beat 1 of the G7 chord. So you can think of that in one of two ways. And then right here he does another interesting thing. He goes right down an F major arpeggio. So after the chromatic from the G to F, then he does F, C, A, F. So if we think of that in relation to G7, he's playing a major arpeggio starting on the flatted 7th of the chord that we're in. We're in a G7 chord, the flatted 7th is F. So if you play a major arpeggio starting on the flatted 7th of a dominant chord, it gives you like a G sus sort of sound. Again, something that you would probably utilize over a major 2-5-1. So I'm not seeing any altered tones popping up at any point so far, which is really interesting, and it shows you that it really can work fine over a minor 2-5-1. So he does that, and then at the very end, he does A flat to E flat. So this is the first time where we hear some altered tones on the 5 chord. So that's the flat 9 and the sharp 5 of the G7 chord. So, and I love the contrast between the beginning and ending of that lick, because like I said, we have more of that suspended sound from the F major arpeggio, and then those nice, pretty altered tones at the end to create some more tension. And then he has the B natural, which is our major 3rd of the G7 chord. And then when it resolves to C minor, he just plays the 9 to the 1. So, all right, so the whole lick is... All right, so the couple of ideas that we talked about in that lick, like I said, just playing Dorian over the minor 7 flat 5 chord rather than, you know, Locrian or Locrian natural 9. And then over the G7 chord, he plays an F major arpeggio, which is a major arpeggio on the flatted 7th of the dominant chord, which gives us more of a suspended sound. And then at the very end, he does the flat 9 and the sharp 5, which creates some more altered tones to contrast the first half of that G7 line very nicely. All right, that is lick number 8. Now on to lick number 9.